more of Kill Chains and Coffee. We've got our coffee, and we've got a new guest on to join us. Christian, welcome to Kill Chains and Coffee. I see you've got a hot coffee. I've got a cold coffee.
Yes,
And
I'm prepared.
looking forward to talking to you.
Really
I
looking
guess,
forward to this conversation. Thank you for having me.
yeah, so Christian leads the web service line on our red team here at Armadin. He's an absolute expert in all things web app security. It's super excited to have him on to talk about hyper attacks and kill chains, especially in the wake of what we saw happen with OpenAI and HuggingFace. Right, we got to, unfortunately, as a world, witness what it looks like when an AI agent collective attacks an organization from the outside in. Right, and it turns out it's very effective. Right, like they strung together multiple 0 days to compromise HuggingFace and go solve the eval question they had been posed. Right, this wasn't done maliciously. This was done with these agents trying to achieve a goal. But I think it really brings front and center that AI agent collectives are very effective at breaking into an organization from the outside. And so at Armadin, we're here to help prepare our customers for AI. We want to help train the autonomous defense they have with our autonomous offense. And think of the outside in as the place that every single person should be starting. So when we talk about this with our customers, we call that outside in AI coming at you with everything we've got, a hyper attack. And would love to kind of bring that to life today and show what a hyper attack looks like. Some of the results we saw on them, some of the kill chains to stay with the theme of the podcast. And there's no one better to walk us through what our AI is able to find than Christian, given how much of his tradecraft and his expertise is encoded in what it does. So with that in mind, I don't know, Christian, any thoughts on hyper attacks generally you want to share before we go through specifics?
Yeah, no, Greg, I mean, I just want to echo your comments, your sentiments. We've seen a continuing evolution of the power of the agentic frameworks and the power when context is shared among capable agents. But more specifically, when those agents have true elite methodology, what they're able to achieve at a speed and a scale that previously I think was unattainable. And so the two examples that I think we want to cover today are meant to underscore and show the evolution of just Armadin's process as it comes to that hyper attack, like you mentioned. So I'm really excited to dig into it.
Awesome. Let's talk about the first one. You want to set
Yeah,
the stage?
absolutely. So the evolution of the hyper attack here at Armadin has been ongoing now for several months. This is not anything new that we've been doing. It's been under development for a while, and I want to take it back to arguably what may be considered the original hyper attack. Approximately about 60 to 90 days ago, Fortune 600, if you can imagine. A company that's got a very significantly large footprint, teams spread across the world, assets and infrastructure around the world, came to us and said, hey, we want you to pressure test our perimeter. We want you to see what you can do. And in this original hyper attack, it was roughly 100, maybe a little bit more than 100 simultaneous attacks. And each one of those attacks contained dozens and dozens of agents. So we're talking somewhere on the order of a few thousand agents running near simultaneously against our client's perimeter. And one of the interesting things that came out of that is from that original hyper attack, the agents discovered in an unauthenticated manner 12 endpoints which were each individually vulnerable to remote code execution from the broader internet. Now, when we say remote code execution in an unauthenticated context, usually that's enough to cause people to stop and take a step back and say, hey, that's bad. We need to fix this. And arguably it is bad. But what was interesting is the way that this kill chain unfolded from the agents themselves. Because it didn't just stop with the unauthenticated discovery of 12 endpoints that were vulnerable to this RCE. What really transpired was the identification of these endpoints being vulnerable to server-side request forgery that the agents then parlayed into using a known published CVE from 2025, if I remember correctly. And in the combination of that SSRF and that CVE allowed the agents to get that unauthenticated RCE. But when that unauthenticated RCE actually fired, it actually executed in the context of a what turned out to be an overly permissive Kubernetes service. So we have this RCE, the agents identify these 12 endpoints and get basically code execution in an overly permissioned context within Kubernetes. And the agents then leverage that access, that overly permissive access, to identify and exfiltrate credentials for third-party services, effectively escaping the Kubernetes pod. And so the agents then used that identification of the credentials, exfiltrated them out to a owned server. And from there, the agents were able to authenticate to the client's cloud service directly, effectively compromising their cloud infrastructure in its entirety. And so this kill chain, even though it seems relatively simple, right? I mean, we're really only talking about maybe 3 or 4 steps, but this is the original hyper attack, Greg. This is roughly about 100 different attacks with thousands of agents running simultaneously, finding these 12 different unauthenticated RCEs, ultimately resulting in cloud infrastructure compromise.
Yeah, love it. I mean, I remember being on the call with the customer the morning after they purchased. I was on the East Coast, and so I was up at like what would have been 6 a.m. Pacific, and basically got the
Sorry.
brief of our our board meeting is in 18 days. We need to send out the pre-read in 13 days. We need to be able to like understand what you did. So we need we're going to give ourselves 4 days of buffer. Like, what can Armadin do from the outside in over the next 9 days? I think it was a Friday, and I remember coming to work on Monday, and we had
It was a
12
Monday.
cases of breaching the perimeter. I don't know. There's a company that cares deeply about security, right? Like
Absolutely.
they've invested heavily. They really care, and to their credit, right? They've gone through and they've fixed every single
Absolutely.
one. And they fixed
Absolutely.
it. I don't know, within a low double-digit number of hours, right? Like they really care.
Yeah.
But just crazy to see what happens when you let an AI swarm that's capable come after your environment. And I don't know.
Yeah.
We're here to help customers find and fix exploitable risk.
And I mean, honestly, sometimes, in our industry, I don't know what's worse, getting an RCE dropped on you at 5 p.m. on a Friday, or waking up on Monday and having 12 RCE sitting in your inbox. I don't know which one's worse, but in this case, kudos and credit to our client, because they treated it with, I think, the requisite severity, and they remediated it extraordinarily fast. Absolutely.
Definitely Friday. Friday is definitely worse.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I heard was like 3,000 to 4,000 agents working together, passing information back and forth, finding 12 ways on the internet to breach the perimeter of a Fortune 600 company, and not just get the ability to run any code we want remotely from a part of their cloud, but then to escalate from there and understand the impact, right? Like, wow, like cloud infrastructure compromise. That, I don't know. I think it's crazy. Like we're not the only company to talk about what an AI agent collective can do when it hacks another company. We're now one of, I think, 2, 3 if you count Anthropic's disclosure. But
Right.
I don't know. I'm still just always taking it back at how scary a world this is that we're living in.
Brave new world.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about safety? I think one
Yeah.
thing in everyone's mind, maybe they're more worried just generally about like, how do you make sure it's like safe to let AI run wild?
No, it's an extremely fair question, and I think it's one that everybody is asking. And if they're not asking it, they probably should be asking it, because I think we have plenty of examples of when AI agents don't have good frameworks, good methodology, good harnesses, effectively, to lean back on. They're left up to interpreting intent, and sometimes that intent interpretation is not accurate. And we've known this for a long time, from the very beginning here at Armadin, which is one of the reasons why we have imbued our attacker with red team methodology from the world's elite red teamers. Now, when I say that, a lot of times people will think about, well, that's just the way you do it, right? And part of it is the way we do it, but from all of our operators spending their entirety of careers executing dangerous attacks in production, we know how to do the dangerous thing safely. It's effectively tradecraft, right? How do you do the dangerous thing safely? And so as part of our safety guards on our attacker, we have trained it on how do you do dangerous things safely. Yes, there's a risk of DOS, and you can limit that in several different ways, but we effectively have safety in depth. There are multiple safeguards, not least of which is how do you do the dangerous thing safely.
Yeah, agree. I mean, I think the part of what's fun about this episode is we don't just get to talk about one hyper attack. We get to talk about
Yeah.
two of many, right? And I don't know. I think the fact that we, to my knowledge, have never had an integrity or availability issue for customers when we come at them externally like this with a hyper attack. I don't know. Like it, if it were easy to hurt the customer, like I think we would have been doing it, just given the number of like autonomous actions we're seeing, right? Like I suspect for this one, we're close to 1 million autonomous actions being taken by the AI as we go after the perimeter of this Fortune 600 company, right? Like that's a lot of chances to
It's a lot of actions.
cause a problem, right? And we take so much care. I just want everyone to
Absolutely.
walk away understanding that like we really, really care about safety. We understand that's a
We do.
requirement if we're going to run real AI attacks in real environments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is an interesting segue, actually. Can I use that to tee up to our latest hyper attack?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So again, just to set the stage, what we just discussed was arguably the first hyper attack, right? So we're talking on the order of just over 100 attacks and dozens of agents per attack. So a few thousand agents. But recently, Armadin just conducted the largest recorded AI cyber attack in history. And I probably should add an extra word to that, largest controlled AI cyber attack in history, because the scale and magnitude of this hyper attack dwarfs everything that we've talked about so far. In this most recent hyper attack, which targeted a globally critical institution, I think contractually I'm not allowed to say much more than that. Targeted.
I think we can expand a bit, right? Like there's a company that supports
Sure.
thousands of businesses. I think their technology comfortably reaches billions of users, right? Like this is
That's fair.
this is like global critical infrastructure, and like we can't say that much more than that. But like this company
Okay.
matters, and keeping them secure keeps like the world secure.
Absolutely. And so as you can imagine with a company like that, global footprint, globally critical, this hyper attack targeted on the order of 25,000 services, launching over 1,300 attacks. So we're talking quite literally 10x the size of our original hyper attack. As part of this, we executed millions of autonomous actions. Those millions of actions were carried out by 26,000 roughly different agents consuming tens of billions of tokens. And it's really quite astonishing because just the scale of this most recent hyper attack just dwarfs anything that has been done to date. And as part of that, it represented a significant amount of impact for this client. But before we talk about impact, I mean, Greg, just the size and scale of this hyper attack, anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think part of what we set out to do is find all paths in all the time, right? And like this, in my mind, there's this kind of, what does it look like to have 26,000 agents communicating with each other, trying to find a way into a large company? Like it turns out it's pretty good at it. Like this is something I would argue AI does better than humans, right? Like two humans can sit in a room and share some details on a whiteboard, but the amount of context you can pass between thousands of agents as they work together to try and solve a problem like this of how do you break into a global enterprise, I think we're just getting started on the capability side for how effective these cyber attacks are. I don't think we've seen these sorts of attacks in the wild yet at scale from adversaries, but boy, are they effective. And we've seen that in OpenAI's announcement around HuggingFace.
Hmm.
I've seen that in
Absolutely.
Tropic's announcement that they actually hacked 3 companies in their evaluations. And I've seen it play out firsthand. And some examples I'm allowed to talk about, and some examples I'm not from uh, what we've been doing at Armadin. Right? These attacks are scarily effective at breaching the perimeter of some of the world's largest, most secure organizations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking on how scarily effective they are, the impact from this arguably the largest hyper attack for our client actually resolved down into over 200 reported findings, of which 98 may be considered significant. Of those 200 plus findings, we actually were able to validate and report just under about 40 different validated attack paths. So kill chains, essentially. Those kill chains represented access to thousands of resources, exposure of sensitive information, high value assets, and crown jewels, and contributed to our client being able to effectively understand blast radius when they are doing the post-mortem and understand what is our risk? What is our true exploitation risk that we're facing today? So it's not just the size and scale of the hyper attack that's impressive, because I think anybody, with enough engineering manpower can just launch lots of agents. It's the effectiveness of what this is representing for our our clients to be able to do this at speed and scale.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Um, I thought that was super well said. Uh, all right, so let's tie a bow on the episode. Um, I want to leave listeners with some simple ideas in their head. One, AI attacks work. AI is incredibly effective at breaching the perimeter. Two, Armadin is, I believe, the only company in the world, as of recording, intentionally running real AI attacks in real environments. And three, the reason our customers trust us to do that is because we care deeply about safety. We've never had an agent breakout. We've successfully broken into almost every company we've tested from the outside in, right? And it comes from taking the very best tradecraft in the world that you heard Christian start to hint at and talk through in this episode, and pairing that with incredible scale and parallelism, right? These agents know how to operate professionally and safely, but also with a viciousness that helps them breach the perimeter of some of the world's most secure organizations. And so I just want to conclude on that safety point, right? Like the reason our customers trust us to run real AI attacks in real environments is because we can do so safely. So with that in mind, I want to say thank you for listening. If you're curious about hyper attacks, please visit hyperattack.ai. We'll tell you all about the one we did against the global critical institution. And thank you, Christian, for joining me and walking me through the kill chains we did.
Thank you for having me, Greg.